So another week starts, guys. We have the last week of the dev server probably because things are getting readier and readier. But we first start with some news about the Indian MiG. Well, it was actually denied. Yes, we will not see an Indian MiG. Normally, when something like that appears on the files, like Zabi said, normally, who knows, right? But in this case, it was apparently a mistake. So it was either or, right? It was either, intentional or it was a mistake, obviously. So in this case, it was indeed a mistake. But I might do a video talking about all the MiG possibilities and Indian aircraft possibilities, because there are plenty of options out there that can actually be added that would help actually the British tech tree. Fortunately, most of them are, copy paste, but it is still pretty interesting, right? So let's talk about today's update. So we had an update on the dev server. It was pretty small. So yeah, let's get to it and talk a little bit about it. So first things first, BRs, guys. So the Mosquito over here, the Mark 16, the Squadron 1 that actually is now being added to the British tech tree, now is a 3.7 BR. It was before 3.0, so we will have an increase in BR. Also, as you can see, they actually introduced more bombs to it. So as you can see, 250, 500 pound, you have the Uncle Tom's, the 500 pound AP, I think this is, right? And then, of course, some rockets. But look at this thing. He even goes down a little bit. So there's a bug happening right now that this thing can carry 9 4,000 pound bombs, which is insane. I mean, look how much it just goes down. So let me try to see if I can fly with this thing, because this is insane. Let's see. But it's a small little funny bug, but it is still interesting enough for us to talk about. I mean, it can fly. Not really though, right? Can kind of fly. It really is overweight. No Bombay? Look at it. There you go, boys. This is what I'm talking about. This is the British Royal Air Force at its finest. Holy Jesus. I mean, not even the Lancaster can do this. So, yeah, pretty interesting, right? But, again, guys, it is, of course, a bug. So you will not see, obviously, 9 4,000 pound bombs in the Mosquito. But this is the first change. Maybe that's why they changed the BR, right? But no. Yeah, 3.7 BR on the thing right now. Another interesting change, guys, going along with the new ground changes, we have now the French Tiger HAC, right? The HAC, with Trigat LR, right? The one that has this missile. I mean, other ones have it as well, I think, but yeah. Now it is at 13.0 in BR, okay? So it was before 12.3, and now it is 13.0. They are, I mean, still compressing the BR of some of these vehicles, but yeah. All the other ones that have fire and forget missiles like this are in that BR, 13.0. So it makes sense, right? It makes sense. So this is just another one that gets added there. The interesting part is that obviously, you can choose between just grinding this way quicker and having already a pretty amazing missile, or going to the block 2 over here and then getting the spike, right? Which are both very similar missiles to each other, let's be honest. But yeah, I would still ignore all of these and go for this. Yeah, I mean, this is just better. The AGM is better, but yeah. Another change that they added, and I think some of it was already being implemented, but yeah, guys, they are adding more inner bits to some aircraft, right? In this time, they are adding a lot of inner bits to the internals of the F-18. So as you can see, the radar is, very well, basically modeled, right? The gun, and even he has avionic blocks over here, for example. So if you lose some of them, you lose parts of the system. So, for example, here, he would lose weapon control. So if you lose this one, for example, you cannot fire anymore. If you lose this, you lose avionics, which, for now it doesn't say, but probably it's like weapons and other things, because in the helicopters, it works like that. Sensors, NVD, RWR, right? Here we have obviously the the lightning pod. If it gets damaged, it will not be able to be used. The interesting thing is that look at the engine, man. The inner bits of the engine, very, very cool. It looks amazing. And then of course you have even the APU over here. That will probably not do anything if it gets damaged, but it is still pretty interesting, right? So yeah, F-18 getting readier and readier. All the F-18s apparently, okay? So if we go to, I don't know, a random one in here, like the CF-188 over here, you will see that it has the same inner bits and stuff with minor changes maybe here and there, but in a general sense, it is the same change, which is very good in my opinion. Another interesting change is that in the F-14B over here, the AAQ-25 pod now has a better thermal system. So you can see that it can actually look, you know, it is a second gen now, if I'm not mistaken. So it is much, much better. And it has a lot of zoom, as you can see here. But let me just test one thing, because I think the zoom is actually for the building site and it's just using that. So let me just grab it without the pod over here, just a normal loadout over here, just to check it out. But they basically, it was from 4 times to 10 times the building like TCS, right? And now it's 12 times, which is already pretty interesting. Yeah, now it's working because it doesn't have NVD to 44 times, man. So let me actually try to do something over here. So look at this. Let me zoom in. It's gonna take a while for me to zoom in, guys. I'm pretty sure. Am I zooming in? I think I am, right? But look at that, 22 kilometers, and look how well you can see the aircraft. And I'm still zooming in. And you can clearly see, of course, the type of aircraft. Yeah, I think that's the max. But, yeah, you can clearly identify the type of aircraft. And it was one of the objectives with the TCS, right? So that you could identify targets from a very long range in certain conditions, right? So, yeah, very, very nice to have this. I mean, look at this. And then you can properly see it with this TCS. So TCS is like a proper system, especially in simulator battles. It will be, I mean, you have IFFs and stuff, but you never know, right? So very interesting. And then we have some changes to the new Apaches, guys. So the Chinese Apache, the new, you know, Apache Guardian over here, it got a worse radar. So this is going to be one of the main differences between the American one and this one, apart from the DIRCM, right? And apart from this one being able to carry these Stinger missiles on the wingtips over here. Now it has just a good old normal APG-78. So, I mean, the V6 version, which is this American one, has around 16 kilometers of range, which is pretty great, and it can attack targets from a very far distance. And this thing will be a normal longbow raider, which means that it will have around 8 kilometers of range. So it's way worse, right? And one thing that you have to worry about here is that these missiles they surpass the range of this radar. So in an aircraft such as this, you are going to not be using your radar too much, I don't think, on air to ground, right? On air to air, of course, I would probably just use it to, you know, be safe from targets that are moving close to you. But yeah, very interesting, right? And also, the Japanese one also got the same radar. So it is using now the APG-78. So it is the normal longbow radar, which means that they will be having less range than the V6 version of the American one, right? So one of the differences between the Apaches there. And now, if I'm not mistaken, the F-14s, guys, they will have 2 AIM-54s stock, if I'm not mistaken. So that should be a little bit better, I think, right? I have my own like things here, but I think this will be the stock loadout. So 2 AIM-54s together with 2 AIM-9s. This is for both, you know, A and B models, and I think even the, I have to check, maybe the Iranians, it's a little bit different, but you get the point, right? And then now the Hawk 200 is properly, you know, usable with the Skyflash now. So you will see that the launch is working way better, as you're gonna see. See, I mean, and the missile will track and kill. Sometimes it was kind of weird before. Here it's gonna just lose because the target is moving perpendicular to me. But you get the point, right? So it's, I think the Hawk is finally finished. Just remember, guys, apparently this thing will not receive the cannons, okay? So just bear that in mind. So I don't know, I have a feeling that because of that, we might actually see a blower BR, because I mean, just sky flashes and extreme 9Ls wouldn't make this aircraft, and losing the cannon wouldn't make this thing be this much of a BR difference than the original one, okay? So yeah, there were some minor, very, very minor changes to some missiles, like for example, the BA-11, the Blue Arrow, right? Got a slight increasing booster mass after, mass after the booster burn. So for example, before it was 36 kilograms, now it's 37 when the booster ended, right? But it did have a worse booster overall. Basically, they decreased the amount of thrust of the booster by like around 10%. So yeah, it's pretty significant, and the gimbal limit is way worse. It's like 26. So it's gonna be a little bit of a worse missile than what it was before. And also, the Sea Eagle missile got a buff on the amount of explosive that it has. So it now has 100 kilograms. It is still very, very small, and it will not do basically anything on the ship. You have to like hit 3 or 4 of them to kill a very small ship. But yeah, slight buff here. We have also 3 new loading screens. So one for the Cheyenne over here, which looks, I mean, it looks amazing. Very cool. The tow launcher there. Very nice. The cable, see? And this is very cool coming from there. So very, very cool. We have also all for new vehicles, right? We have one for the Hawk, which is pretty nice because it's firing the Seahawk missile. The Sea Eagle, sorry. Hawk, Eagle, it's so many things, but you get the point. And then the last one is for the Jaguar, the EBRC, which looks very cool as well. All of these small things make it up to have a difference in the game. And that's pretty much it, guys. There are some other very, very minor things, but these are the main ones, okay? So I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and I see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys. See ya.